Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Brothers Take podcast. I'm Chris. I'm joined by my brothers Adam
Hello.
and Eric.
Hello.
We are back in the room to talk more gaming, and in this week's episode, we're going to be sharing our take on last week's State of Play, the first State of Play of 2024, where they showcased a number of games. Some of them will have caught our eye, not all of them will, so we will talk about the ones that did. But of course, we'd love to hear from you guys. If there's ones that we've left out that you're particularly hyped for, then we want to hear why you're hyped for them, what has you excited about them. And then on the games that we do bring up, if you have further thoughts on those that maybe we don't bring up, we want to hear them. So if you guys watch YouTube, make sure you jump down into the comments to share your thoughts. If you enjoyed this week's discussion, give us a thumbs up, hit subscribe, ring the notification bell for all future content, including... at the end, they announced there's going to be another State of Play literally this week, very soon after this comes out, or maybe is already out by the time you're listening to this, which is the Final Fantasy VII Rebirth State of Play. And we will be talking about that after that's out. That'll be the next episode. So make sure you're subscribed or following the podcast to that. If you guys are listening to the audio platforms, you can touch base with social media, Facebook, Instagram, and X at the Brothers Take, again, to give your take on everything we bring up in this week's episode. But without further ado, let's talk gaming. So, 31st of January, 2024, first State of Play for PlayStation. Can I just say, I had said to you guys off podcast... last week after we recorded our episode, we were talking about possible topics, and I said, well, hold on, right, we'll do that one, which was one that you guys had come up with. I was like, we'll do that one if there isn't a State of Play, but I think there's going to be a State of Play. I think it's going to be on Wednesday the 31st of January, right?
Right, yeah.
I thought the stars were aligning, and in my head I was like, that is the 27th anniversary of Final Fantasy VII. That they're going to want to mark it in some way. So they're going to drop the demo that day, and they're going to use a State of Play to do so. I was like, this is perfect. A little bit off. They had the State of Play. As soon as they announced that it was on that date, I was like, oh, here we go. Here we go. It's all aligning. It's perfect. And I'm ready for it. Let's go. And then, obviously, just to cut to the chase, I suppose, at the end of it, they were like, we will have a Final Fantasy VII Rebirth State of Play in a couple, and I was like, oh no. So I was a little bit disappointed that those stars didn't align that way, but very excited for that. And obviously that will be our next episode. So let's not talk about what we didn't get. Let's talk about what we did get. First of all, what do you guys think of State of Play as a whole? Eric?
I didn't mind it so much, which is surprising considering I usually really hate this stuff. But I think I watched it after you. I watched it the day after it was out. So I think both of yous were telling me that the lower expectations. So because my expectations were lowered, it wasn't so bad.
So just on that note, the reason I said lower your expectations was so that you'd enjoy it more.
Yeah, well, I
thought it wasn't a bad showcase. Like, I thought it was fine. I didn't think it was as good as the Xbox Developer Direct in terms of how it's showcased. But we've said that before. I think it's the best way to do a showcase. It was a little bit all over the place, and I don't think the pacing was great. But there was good games in there. There was some stuff I'm interested in. So yeah, well, I said lower your expectations so that you would enjoy it more.
There was a lot more games and a lot more types of games, which was nice because. For the developers direct, the Xbox One, while that was presented better, there was 5 games, and I think all three of us came out of that going, yeah, one of them interested us.
Right.
Well, at least with this one, I'd be surprised if only one interested you. You know, I'd say
sure. I take out a ratio point of view though. I'm just gonna say there was 15 games at this one, and there was only 5 at the Xbox One. Do you know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
So if say what would it be? If 3 games interested in this one, then it's ratio wise, it's actually the same level of enjoyment. Then in that, you know what I mean? But I know what you're saying. There was a lot more games. There was
a lot more games, a lot more types of games. and less buzzwords being used. So it's just they were
Mm,
letting the games speak for themselves. I
yeah.
felt.
Adam, what
Well,
do you think of the showcase as a whole? Without us, like we've said many times, that we're not the biggest fan of the way State of Play is done anyway. So without repeating ourselves too much, but just in this instance,
Yeah, it was definitely one of the better ones. I think it was nice
cool.
seeing Herman, uh, him presenting it, and yeah, it's just less robotic. Having a face to it, I think, is really helps. Um,
Definitely, they did away with that computer voice that goes. And now,
yeah,
next we have a, which I think helps.
yeah. No, it
Yeah.
does. It helps having the face of it, just like presenting it, and uh, even some of the people that working with some of the companies as well coming out and explaining it. So I thought the pacing was pretty okay. I wasn't that interested in a lot of the games shown.
mhm.
Mm.
So there were a few points where I kind of nod off a little bit, but I think these kind of directs are getting better and better as they go on.
Excellent. So, with the general talk out of the way, we're going to get into some of the specifics now. Um, Obviously, we're not going to talk about all 15 games because, as we've all said here, not everything stood out to us. But that doesn't mean that, if there's one we don't mention that you guys are into, please do get in touch. Let us know why you're hyped for it. And maybe there's stuff about it that we don't know about. I mean, not all of these trailers were like in depth, right? Plus, not everything's going to be our cup of tea. So we're going to talk about some of the ones that stood out to us. First one I wanted to talk about was Stellar Blade, right? And the reason, not necessarily, I wasn't enjoying the trailer at all, right?
Yeah,
I thought the aesthetics were cool. I thought like the designs were cool. I thought the gameplay looked kind of flashy, and it kind of looked like if you made a PS2 game, but with today's graphics and
hmm
capabilities, right? But if it kind of felt like a PS2 game, which was kind of cool, right? Um, but while it was playing, I was like, this is such a boring trailer, and I don't know what it is about it. But then I watched the same footage like later on as like other people were talking over it, like maybe like a reaction or something, and none of the dialogue, none of the audio of the trailer was in it at the time. And I was like, holy shit, that looks amazing. If you watch the footage without the audio and maybe play some song or something in the background,
mm.
the stuff they're showing is actually really good. But whatever the voiceover that's happening over it, or whatever way it's structured,
Hmm.
made it kind of like boring to watch. But if you
And the
actually
song
just like,
as well. I think the song was a pretty poor choice, poor
yeah,
match to whatever the hell is happening on screen.
yeah, because there's actually cool. So again, as I was watching it, it wasn't hitting me at all. But when I saw the footage kind of on its own, I was like, holy shit, that actually looks really cool. Is that the same trailer that I watched? It felt different. Because there was that really quiet, weird voiceover explaining how the game would work.
Hmm.
And then there was weird, out of context voice acting bits
Yep.
where you're like, this is kind of very classic Japanese kind of trailers where they just give you these out of context scenes. Even though I'm not sure if this is a Japanese game or not, I have no idea. It's clearly inspired by Japanese games, but
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. It was a weird trailer, but I actually think it could be a good game. That's what I'm trying to.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
I'm trying to get at.
I actually liked what I was seeing. I liked the premise of it. It didn't bore me that much, but it is definitely a Soulsborne game
Is it?
Is it?
because there's a
I didn't
point
get that,
when
but
okay, well
okay.
maybe not Soulsborne to that extent, but definitely like in the Jedi games, you
Mm-hmm.
do the meditation point and the enemies respawn.
Oh, does
So
it do that?
when she went to the camp, she sat down, she had her resting, and lots of writing came up, like health gone increased or something like that. But I noticed that it said enemies respawned, and I was like,
Oh, okay. I didn't
like
notice that. That's a really good spot. Wow. Okay.
so I did notice that. So I was like, I am liking the look of this world. I like the idea of the designs of the people in that. I think they call it Zion. It's like
Yeah, it looked
almost
cool.
cyberpunk desert design. I didn't mind it. I don't know if I'd be playing it, but I wasn't really thrown off too much. But I think the only thing that was throwing me off the most was her hair.
I think it's a game that if there was a demo, I would check it out.
Yes. Yeah,
You know what I
yeah,
mean? And I think it would benefit from a demo actually.
All games
Look at
benefit from demos. Everything. I don't know why
yeah.
they stopped demos in the PS4 era.
Some games with the way they're laid out are hard to demo.
Hmm.
True,
Do you know what I mean?
but
It's hard to pick a specific point to demo. But yes, if you can, then demos are great.
Mm.
But yeah, okay, so that was Stellar Blade. Let us know, guys, if you're interested in Stellar Blade. I believe that's coming this year, right?
I think it's said, yeah.
Yeah, another game coming this year. Coming very soon, actually. I think it's coming out in March. And I know this one caught your eye, Eric, was Dragon's Dogma 2 from
Yeah,
Capcom. Did you ever
yeah.
play the first one?
I started the first one. I actually do have it, and I started the first one, and then I jumped back into Baldur's Gate 3. But I was told that it does like the start of it is very kind of open world RPG, and then I think at the halfway point it gets really good, but I don't know how long it takes to get to the halfway point, so I might dip in and out of it, but it's just graphically and gameplay wise, I thought it looked really damn impressive. Do you remember that game Crimson Desert, is that what it was called? There was a trailer for that,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
it looked genuinely kind of with the amount of like gameplay and movements and everything that was happening, it looked like too good to be true.
Yeah.
I felt that with Dragon's Dogma. Some of the stuff that
Oh,
was
nice.
happening, like there was a point where they casted the spell of like this big icy block that went into like the Cyclops, and then they ran up the ice and jumped onto the Cyclops, and I was like, "Damn, that's actually really good attention to detail of mixing the combat together, like
Yeah.
using a spell and then using that spell to give yourself an advantage." And I just thought graphically and gameplay wise looked very innovative and fun.
I think
But
there
again,
are.
it will be nice to have a demo.
Oh, well, of course.
Yeah.
I think there are previews for that game.
Mm.
Some games journalists have had a chance to like play it, so we're checking them out to see what they're thinking. I would imagine Dragon's Dogma 2 will do very well. I would imagine it will
Probably.
review well. I imagine it will sell well, and I imagine at the end of the year it could be coming up in some people's lists. That's the general sense I'm getting from the excitement people seem to have for this game. Now, it's not necessarily in my wheelhouse. It's not something I'm looking out for, but I think it's cool. It's a long-awaited sequel for a game that people love. Just listen to Alana Pierce, everyone. She fucking loves that first Dragon's Dogma. Loads of people do. They say it's like one of the best games ever. I never played it. I don't really know much about it. Adam, have you ever even heard of Dragon's Dogma before Dragon's Dogma 2?
Yeah, I've heard of it. It's again not in my radar.
Yeah. Not in your wheelhouse, but for anyone who it is, it does look good. It doesn't look bad. Like it's not like it wasn't like, oh, here we go, foam stars. I'm gonna just shut up here now. You know, it looks like a really good game, and I won't be surprised if it gets really good reviews. The next ones that I had written down that I wanted to talk about, were the Silent Hill games. Okay,
Right.
which I thought were interesting. So there was two Silent Hill games showcased at the PlayStation State of Play. One of them, I suppose, people would have expected. The other one, absolutely not. Right?
Mm-hmm.
We had a look at some gameplay for the Silent Hill 2 remake, being developed by Bloober Team. No release window yet as to whether that's coming this year or not. Some people had speculated it is. Maybe that'll be announced later in the year. And then there was also a shadow drop of a free game, Silent Hill, The Short Message, right? So we can talk about that in a minute, because that's not one that people have to wait around for. That you can actually go and play that now, and I have played it. So I'll let people know what I thought of it. But what did you guys think of Silent Hill 2? Adam?
I was pretty underwhelmed by it, and I kind of felt like there was going to be something. I kind of said this last time as well when we spoke about this. It's like I'm not really sure how this is going to play out or look, and based on what we've seen, I thought the presentation of it was not great. I thought the combat looked very, very poor, and I thought the visuals definitely looked like they were taking 2 generations step backwards a little bit. It kind of had, in some moments, especially environments, a little bit of Heavy Rain kind of look to it, more so than what I would expect from next gen Silent Hill.
Yeah.
It was definitely leaning more towards the this has combat, don't worry. Which kind of I know there
not
is
people's
combat.
concern, I don't think.
I know there is combat in Silent Hill, but was never its like. I
Yes.
would play Resident Evil for combat. Yeah, I was. I don't know. I don't think this looks good, and I'm a little bit concerned about this game when it releases.
Yeah. Eric, what did you think?
I thought it was I thought the whatever video I was watching had bad quality because I was about to ask, did the game graphically not look great? Because I thought the same. I thought graphically, I was like, why does this look like it's the kind of the same graphics as like the Sinking City, which is
Yeah.
a Lovecraft game that released on
Right,
PS4,
yeah.
which didn't have great graphics at all, and
Yeah.
I mean, the designs of all the creatures are fucked up, but then that's PS1 designs, so
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's not like that's new. So yeah, I was on the same page as Adam. I was watching this kind of going, okay, nothing's happening, nothing's happening. Something with nurses, nothing's happening, nothing's happening. Okay, it's over. Like that was kind of yeah my approach to it as well. But I didn't know whether it was the video I was watching
Yeah.
was just presented as having bad graphics or whether the game just didn't really look like it had great graphics. So thanks for clarifying that.
Yeah, I even thought the way the main character, is his name James Sunderland? Is that his name Sutherland or something like that? Is that his
I
name?
can't remember.
I can't remember either. If anyone knows, let us know. But the main character, the way he was walking looked really unnatural to me. The way his arms were just stuck to his hips as he walked a lot of the time. And then having such a... I thought it was weird that like we had the reveal trailer was fine. Because that's just a, look at, this is our intention. We're going to remake Silent Hill 2. Right? And I don't mind those kind of, we're just announcing it type trailers. Because the hype in that is just the announcement and not necessarily in what they show you sometimes, right? But this time around, to get actual gameplay, I'm surprised that this is what they decided to show. With weird, like, I know that track is from Silent Hill 2, but I thought it was a weird track to use to like get people hyped up to hammer monsters with nails and shoot them, and I'm like, this is not I don't think the Silent Hill fan base, maybe I'm wrong, let us know if we are wrong, because I'm not like a big Silent Hill fan. I appreciate the series and its legacy, but I'm not a Silent Hill fan. But I don't think that's what the fan base are into Silent Hill for. Maybe I'm wrong. I just don't see it as you were saying, Adam, like you jump into the next Silent Hill for shooting monsters.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's more about the atmosphere,
It's
the
psychological
story,
horror, right?
the mystery, right? And I would have thought a better showcase would have been showing an actual segment of gameplay. Like walking through a hall and something happening, and like just an actual uninterrupted segment of gameplay, as opposed to this cut together trailer of here's the action scenes. So that was a bit strange for Silent Hill 2. And yeah, I mean, it wasn't like, I thought the fog looked great, but I wasn't blown away by the rest of it at all, to be honest.
Mm-hmm. I think Alan Wake 2 is looking like a better Silent Hill than this.
Alan Wake 2
is a fantastic Silent Hill.
Alan Wake 2 is actually a great Silent Hill game. 100%, especially the Alan Wake sequences, which I should say actually on the same day as the State of Play, there was a new update for Alan Wake 2 for anyone who has played that game, or if you're wanting to jump into it, it's a good time. There's now a chapter select.
Oh, nice.
So if you want to just specifically go in and relive that musical moment, you can as many times as you want, and I will. I don't want to play through all of it again just to get there. I want to just do that again. So yeah, just on that note, that's out now. Yeah, going in, I would have been excited to see more Silent Hill 2. I left the showcase more excited for the other Silent Hill game that they showed.
Okay.
Mainly because I was like, I don't know what that is. I don't know what it's about. I don't know how it's going to play out. That sounds interesting to me. And then they said free to play, and I was like, whoa, that's kind of cool. Whoa. Part of me feels like it's like Konami trying to like, it's like, you know, because they know that they're kind of fighting a losing battle here a little bit, so they need to get people back on side and like, no, look, we're serious about making games again. Try this freebie first, you know what I mean? So I did. I tried it. Silent Hill, the short message. A lot of people from the footage were saying, oh, it looks like PT kind of thing, right? Or it looks like they're trying to do what PT did. If you play it, I would say it is more Layers of Fear.
Okay.
Then it's not really doing what PT is doing. There's maybe one element that you might feel is like, oh, that's kind of like PT, but nah, it's more Layers of Fear. Even in some of the shit that's happening on screen and stuff like that. But I really enjoyed it. It's like I haven't finished it yet, because it was quite late when playing it. But all in all, I'd say, depending on how much you take your time or whatever, it's maybe a 2 to 3 hour experience because it is only a free game, right? And bear that in mind. I think like go in knowing this is a free game, so it's not gonna have like the biggest AAA budget ever. But the environments look great. The fog looks great. The music is great. And I was very intrigued by the story as it was going through. Myself and Ash were actually like discussing every note that we found and going, do you think that means, and oh no, I bet you what's going on is that, or oh no, I bet you it's, and that, it was very like Layers of Fear. Because when you play Layers of Fear, as it's presenting information, you start piecing together. It's like, no, I bet you what happened is, right? The guy I'm playing as, you know, you start doing that. And even I was going, well, from previous Silent Hill games, what I'm thinking about my character is probably, you know, started doing that kind of stuff. So like it was really interesting in that way. It's touching on very modern stuff. I don't think there's a warning at the start of the game. For anyone who suffers with depression or self-harm, that kind of thing. And I think it totally depends on who you are as a person. From experiences of hearing stories, real life stories, I found some of the content very heavy. But that totally depends on who you are, whether you have any kind of real life experience or any of that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? If you know someone or if you've been through it yourself, maybe. So I think depending on who you are and your sensibilities and all that kind of stuff, heed the warning. You know what I mean? They have a helpline and everything just in case. But it is like bear that in mind if you give it a try. That it like suicide and self-harm are like the major themes of it, as well as like bullying and depression and these kind of themes. Some really dark stuff. But yeah, I actually think it's really good. I really enjoyed it, and I was like, I kind of think I would enjoy more small Silent Hill experiences like this.
To what extent is this more like Layers of Fear in comparison? Because everyone's going to compare it to PT. It's the only other
they are
Silent Hill IP, I guess.
Yeah.
I suppose in that kind of format. So to what extent is it that it's not as scary as PT? It's more like the horrors of Layers of Fear, or is it that as you play it, that the puzzles are a little bit more traversal, like Layers of Fear, as opposed to the deep detective work of PT?
Yeah. Okay. So, it is not as scary as PT, in my personal opinion.
Okay.
That is not to say it's not scary. It is. I jumped. I got scared, and I felt uneasy playing the game. You know what I mean? It's got the tense atmosphere, and you can die. Like there's things that will try to kill you. Okay. So there is that. But I don't think it's as scary as PT. I think mainly because of the environment you're in. Feels like a Silent Hill environment. Like it feels like a place that would be in a Silent Hill game, versus PT broke the mold by putting you in a location that feels very real, like a very real place, and it made it scarier. I thought, like, Silent Hill games are usually in very run down places,
Mm-hmm.
like places that are like they're kind of scary anyway. You wouldn't want to be in them in the first place. Whereas PT was like, this is the most regular ass hallway ever, and I am terrified now of my own hallway with all the shit and everything going on in it. So in that sense, yeah, PT is scarier. And then you don't need to be like a major detective. Like, people will probably call this like a walking simulator. Like, you just have to experience it. Actually, you have to just go through it. It's not difficult to play. Like, the gameplay is quite limited. You're looking for clues. You're reading. Spend a lot of time reading things and just interacting with the story. There are points where you'll have to run to survive.
Mm-hmm.
If you get caught, you die, but it doesn't send you back all that far to try again. But there's not loads to the gameplay. It's not incredibly intricate in that way. And obviously it doesn't seem to be. I haven't finished it, so I don't think it's a teaser for something. I don't think at the end of it it's going to be like, actually, this was to set up Silent Hill whatever down the line, Silent Hill F, or those other Silent Hill games that are in development. I think it is just a self-contained experience. It's like, look, we just want you to get back into modern Silent Hill, or if you're totally new to the series, this is the kind of horror Silent Hill is.
Yeah, it's clear that this is like that worked last time. Let's do that again.
Yeah, in a way, but I don't think, I think because of the way they've marketed it, they haven't actually done like a repeat PT.
No, it's not the same thing. For sure, it's not the same thing, and it'll never be the same thing.
No, you can never repeat that.
But
that's so legendary.
Just thinking about like the decisions that were made, it's like, well, why not develop this further into a full game? I'm wondering if they have other projects and they're really wanting to pull resources together, and this is probably something that management doesn't want to go in the direction of and decide, let's just release it.
Possibly. But I have to say, from what I've played, I don't think I would want a full game of it. I actually think there's probably enough in it. Do you know what I mean? I think this could be like I think one of the best horror games ever made is Alien Isolation. That game is way too long.
Oh yeah,
that needs to be way shorter.
That game's better if you just played the kind of the Nostromo missions.
Yeah, so I do feel that some horror games benefit from a shorter burst. And plus, I think if you draw the mystery, there is a mystery to this, right? And if you draw that out too long, I think you would just get bored.
Right. But
you start getting answers and piecing it together fairly quickly. So you feel like you're like, oh no, okay, I think I'm nearly there. You will keep pushing, I think it's free. It's worth a play, guys, if you're into horror games and if you enjoyed something like Layers of Fear. That is the strongest comparison I can make, I think. Okay. But that's not to say it's like a 1-for-1 or anything like that. There's a bit of voice acting. This isn't like the best voice acting you're ever going to get. The characters aren't lip synced or anything like that. From all the names and stuff, it seems like it's based in Germany, but it's all American voice actors and stuff like that. So it's dubbed over in that way. I don't know why they said it in Germany, but you're not in Silent Hill as a location, just so you know. I don't know how that ends though. Maybe there's some twist with that. And Silent Hill is already an interesting concept, and it's like, is Silent Hill just a place? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm okay with it not being you're in Silent Hill, but it kind of makes it a weirder, darker mystery,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but then again, they were hinting at with the end of PT, it was Silent Hills. So maybe they are hinting that there is multiple
locations that work the same way as Silent Hill.
Yeah.
Maybe.
And maybe that's what all these different projects then could literally just be, here's the American one, the German one in Japan, so that they're all over the world. Like,
yeah, perhaps they are kind of taking a little bit of the development in that concept, whatever that Silent Hills was.
Well, you have to think about it, right?
Doing this
Kojima, obviously Kojima was developing that project, right? But not on his own, right?
Mm.
I think sometimes like he's an auteur. He's we're gonna be talking about him soon. He's like fucking incredible, right? But I think because he's so like he's the face of everything he does.
Yeah.
I think sometimes we forget that there are so many other people also working on these things. So Kojima left Konami, but not everyone. Not it's not right to say he left it because it wasn't like that, right? But not everyone who was working on Silent Hills did. Some of those people who were working on Silent Hills are still at Konami.
Maybe.
So they might have had ideas themselves on that project that they're bringing forward. Do you know what I mean? Because we do, I think, forget sometimes that like we're like, oh no, everything was Kojima. And it's like, it might not have been. It might not have just been Kojima. There's a huge collaborative process that happens with making games too. So it's possible that there's some stuff that will bleed from what Silent Hills was going to be. Doesn't necessarily mean Konami are just stealing that stuff. It could be, no, actually, these are the same guys that were going to make it,
Yeah, certainly wouldn't call steal just because, like, it's the IP, It's there's some of it gets left behind, and he hasn't got control over that anymore, so they can do whatever they want with it. But
of course,
Metal Gear Survive,
I think that would
for example.
yeah, Metal Gear
But
Survive.
I don't think that's a bad thing, though. I think that's good to, like, clearly there was some genius there in that work, and it would make sense to take that on. But I'm just based on what I'm seeing so far, I'm not so confident in Konami yet.
Mm-hmm. Oh no, don't get me wrong. I enjoyed this experience. This does not mean I am now all in on Konami.
No. I just mean that
not at all.
With the future Silent Hill projects, even it's just I'm not sure. I don't think they haven't proved themselves yet.
I think that's fair to say.
Yeah,
we still have to see, and not just with Silent Hill. Like it has to be like. How are they with the other games too? Like we still need to see what the Snake Eater remake is going to be.
Yeah.
Is it handled with care and all that stuff? Well, speaking of like remakes, or is it a remaster? I'm not quite sure, but still in the horror genre. Until Dawn.
Oh man.
Is being rebuilt for the PS5 and the PC. Well, it said at the end of the trailer, rebuilt and enhanced. What does that mean? I thought it was just going to be a remaster.
Yeah.
But rebuilt, that wording makes it sound like it's a remake. I don't know.
I think that's marketing. And when they showed that cabin, I like that. That's when I like paid. Now I'm paying attention to this fucking show. Like everything else, I'm just like no. That cabin alone, I could just tell immediately. I was like, this is
yeah.
And then it cuts to, because it's showing clips that we've never seen before, and then it's like, oh my god, is this going to be an expansion or an additional to Until Dawn? Man, I got so excited and then tore down just so quickly.
Oh,
this does not excite me anymore. We're doing it again, like the same game. It's like, why aren't we getting more to this? That was an incredible game, and you can play it.
It's a great game.
The enhancements, I think this is really just we want to bring it to PC. That's it really, and I think all that rebuilt stuff is just, I think it's just marketing. I think it's
or
just
is it like reignite excitement for that particular game because the movie has been greenlit?
Yeah, probably, maybe. Yeah,
because when you look at like
some more money here,
when you look at a lot of the stuff that seems to be getting like remasters, they also all have. Like The Last of Us, both games have gotten remakes.
Yeah.
And The Last of Us HBO show, you've got the Horizon game got like a big remaster, the Zero Dawn one, or supposedly is getting a big like PS5 version is in the works, and there's that show is coming, and now Until Dawn. And one thing I'd wonder, and yeah, again, love Until Dawn. Absolutely love it. An amazing game. But I'd like to know, like, and we'd have to see, like, this announcement alone isn't enough for me, because most people who have the PlayStation have PS Plus, at least the cheapest version, so that they can play online, right? That came with, for everyone, a library of 20 games, including Until Dawn. Which means most people, I'm not saying everyone, but we can pretty much say like 90% of people who have a PS5. Do you not think so?
No,
You
definitely
don't think
not.
like 90% of PS5 players have PS Plus?
No, definitely not.
Okay. Can we say 70?
No.
You don't think confidently 70%
I
of
would be.
PS5 players?
I would say even 50% is probably too high.
What? Come on.
Okay,
You
let's
don't think
not worry
people
about the
are...
maths, all right, on who has
You-
it. But either way, the game itself can still be played just fine on a PS5.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
this is like back to the fucking Last of Us remake thing where it's like the game can actually be played on the consoles just fucking fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a marketing scheme of essentially, hey, remember this? Come get it again. It's gonna be totally better. And it's like, that's nice, but are you going to give us anything actually new?
Well,
Like, is
okay.
there a real reason to get this again?
Do you think there will be new features?
I
I
assume
would
there.
hope.
I assume there will be new. They tend to pack in some new features into these remasters to some degree.
Yeah.
So there definitely will be, but
There's an expectation now, I
is,
think.
is it enough to get a whole new game? Don't know.
No, maybe it's enough for anyone who didn't play it. Again, I think we sometimes automatically are like, "What? Why are
Oh
they
yeah,
doing
there's a
that?
ton
I
of
already have it."
there's a ton of new players who definitely haven't
Yeah.
never have had this game.
Yeah. And then there's going to be the movie and people want to go check it out. It's like, no, get this new one,
But you
which
could
we
say
can
that
sell at
about
like full price because it just came out, as opposed to going and getting
Yeah.
the old one, which is like reduced way down now because it's.
But
you
you
know,
could absolutely
nearly
say
10
that
years
about
old.
like so many games throughout history when a new console comes out. Anyway,
Oh yeah,
I do think this is so we can get it to PC. But I thought maybe it already was on PC. Was it
I
not?
thought it might have been, but maybe it's not. I don't know. But
Yeah.
I was also wondering, what could be very possible in terms of additional features is like supermassive games have added, since Until Dawn, they have made their games with the way people were playing Until Dawn in mind, but actually put it into the mechanics of the game. So, for example, being able to play multiplayer, but from a distance, right? Like people were able to in later supermassive games. It's like it'll tell you when it's your turn to control which character, and then multiple people are making the choices. And you can't do that with the original Until Dawn. People played it that way by just passing the controller around, but you can't do that, like say over a Twitch stream or something like that. So this is something that I think will appeal to Twitch streamers if that's a feature that they add into an Until Dawn remaster, where it's like now you have like the new features that other supermassive games have, but you have it in the best supermassive game. Because let's face it, Until Dawn is still the best game that they've made.
Yeah. Do you think as well, actually, this is probably a long shot, but just thinking back at like what was happening in the trailer and the fact that it was focused on Peter Stormare talking to the character he was talking to. And the fact that we kind of got like at first it was showing the traps and the games and it was making hints at that, and then it was showing scenes including the other characters that almost seemed new. Maybe I'm wrong. They looked like they were new.
Yeah.
Do you think they're gonna add in a mode where you can almost like by choice playing as the character sets up the traps, you could set up like new traps? And then they will play the game differently? Because if they
Maybe.
did that, that would be a
What does it
pretty
say here?
fucking cool.
So you discover new collectibles, all new environments to investigate, and recut narrative sequences that deepen the mystery further.
Okay, that could be interesting.
Yeah, so
I think we
maybe
need to
it
see.
plays out differently. Maybe.
We need to see more. They need to show us another trailer where maybe they show off those additional features. But this was just an announcement yet. It's coming this year. I imagine they'll try and aim for October, make it a Halloween kind of time period release.
Yeah, probably.
Would make sense to me because again, if they could get in one of those features where you can play online together, and they know that around Halloween, the amount of people who will Twitch stream that. Do you know what I mean? That would be a popular game to play at that time of year. But yeah, Until Dawn, love the game. We'll keep an eye out to see what it is. But
Yeah,
not
early
immediately
days.
like, yeah, I can't wait, you know?
Early days. Early days.
Early days. But you can still play Until Dawn, guys. You should go play it. It's amazing. It's such a good game. I love that game. But okay, moving on from Until Dawn. Did anyone else have anything else they wanted to say on it?
No,
No.
no. I was
You
just
covered it,
really
man.
hoping for a new
You did a
one.
good job.
I wonder how much they gotta pay Rami Malek to reuse him again. He's a lot more expensive now, I imagine.
Maybe they just changed all their faces.
Could you imagine? Imagine if
Yeah.
everyone is the same, but Rami Malek has been
Yeah.
recast for the purposes of reselling this game. Although it could be a thing of like whatever the old contract was. You know, he might not be entitled to like if you tried to get him into a game now, could you imagine?
Yeah.
That guy
Yeah.
played Freddie Mercury, like he became a big star. He's massive.
Kojima could do it.
Kojima could do it. So let's talk about Kojima right now, who had the longest trailer at the PlayStation State of Play with Death Stranding 2 on the beach.
Don't like the subtitle. I'm gonna put that out there. I don't think it needs a subtitle.
So what does that mean? Does that mean something to you guys who played the first Death Stranding?
It means everything.
So
So the
it's
beach
amazing,
is
actually.
the beach is kind of like
Purgatory, kind of. It's,
Yeah,
it's
it's a
your,
bit like
it's your
the-
gateway.
the construct in The Matrix.
Ah, okay. What?
So
Is where
when-
ideas are formed, or
when everyone dies in the universe of Death Stranding, everyone has essentially their own beach,
okay.
which is their kind of the train station or something. It's like a train station essentially. You're waiting for your moment to walk into the ocean and head off into the afterlife.
Right.
And the world developed. It never specifies how far into the future it is. The world essentially created a means to use the beach as a teleportation
Yeah.
device, so that people were able to go to beaches, link beaches, go to a beach, and then pop out somewhere else. But this
Oh, so they
then,
could use that as like a wormhole kind of thing?
yeah, essentially.
Oh.
But then this ended up triggering the Death Stranding, which is an extinction level event that has happened multiple times in Earth. Honestly, like I was replaying the game and I was like, Kojima, dude, like how are you making me starting to think that the dinosaur extinction was the Death Stranding? Like he just somehow is able to make it seem so believable when it's complete and utter nonsense.
Yeah, the
Bonkers.
lore, the world building
Yeah.
is phenomenal in it.
Right.
Yeah.
You guys must have been hyped for this trailer, no?
I was interested to see it, but I think this trailer was better than I thought it could be. Actually,
There you go.
Yeah,
That's
I
what
thought-
I mean.
I thought the trailer was because earlier on in the showcase they showed a Sonic game, right? And when
Oh,
I
yeah.
saw the Sonic game, I was like, "Look, no doubt that it actually kind of looks fun. It probably is a fun game
I'd
to
say
play."
that is a fun ass game, yeah.
But holy shit, does that like if that wouldn't even wow me if it was announced for PS4. At this level, we should be getting Sonic games with the fidelity of Ratchet and Clank. Like it should look like a CGI film at this point. It's like where are these games that take advantage of the PS5? But the cutscenes in Death Stranding 2, actually, fuck the cutscenes. The actual gameplay in Death
Everything.
Stranding
No,
2,
everything,
the
everything.
environment, the weather effects, the way and I that really excited me because I'm like I don't know whether the weather thing is just a natural obstacle that you have to deal with, or if that's actually I don't know, caused by some sort of enemy or something like that. But the kind of landslide when they showed that, like that looked incredible.
Incredible. Man,
So,
Eric,
here we go.
fuck Arkham Asylum's moon being big. You know what I mean?
Now there's a
Like,
moon.
You see that moon? Holy shit, that
It's a
was the
pretty big moon.
biggest ass moon I've ever seen. It looked incredible.
Yeah, I loved actually. I think the part that got me, that's when it triggered for me, and I'm like, "Ooh, this is exciting. This is cool," is when Norman Reedus' character was running as the river was coming and destroying all the
yeah.
bits
yeah.
and pieces. I was like, "Oh, that's very fucking cool." That moment.
Right, so all that stuff visually blew my mind, right?
I have no clue what's up there.
No, well, I don't, but I'm still like, do you know when like I heard someone else talking about Death Stranding too, and the way they were saying, they were like, "This is like, you know, when an Avatar movie comes out, and you know your dad's not into those kinds of movies, but it's so visually spectacular that you gotta drag his ass to the cinema. It's like, you need to see this." He's like, that's Death Stranding 2 to video games. He's like, even if you're someone who only plays fucking like looter shooters and shit like that, you got no fucking come here and look at this moon. Like, it just looks like a visual spectacle. But even despite all that, because I kind of, as amazing as that was, it's not unsurprising to me that Kojima and Kojima Productions using the Decima engine are achieving that with the PS5, because that's kind of, as Adam was saying, like, this is the level we're hoping to be at, right? The thing that blew my mind, which is probably not that difficult to do, but it's just the fucking puppet.
Right, that was incredible.
I was just like, even like, this guy is so good at just innovating, like coming up with these weird ideas and just throwing them in. Like, I never expected something like that in Death Stranding. Like, the other stuff, as amazing as it is not unexpected. You know, great visual spectacle and all that. You know, like, that's not unexpected. The weird fucking claymation puppet thing was like, I don't know what it is. I don't know how it works. It looks incredible though, and it's moving at a completely different frame rate to everything else.
Yeah, that was the. I have no idea what the fuck that is either. Like,
that's not in the first one.
That's a new concept, right?
It's a new thing. I don't even know how, even in the world, I don't even know how that is existing. Like, how that's a thing. So that's going to be completely new. But
funny little dig at Mimir as well, right?
Yeah, definitely a God of War reference in there. Yeah.
When he went to put him on his ass.
Yeah.
That's George Miller in this
as well. Yeah, it is. And I actually thought the Troy Baker's character with the electric guitar that then shoots bullets and stuff like that, there was an element of that, like, at first that reminded me of Mad Max, and at this point I didn't even realize that was George Miller earlier on until someone else pointed it out. And I went back and rewatched it and went, holy shit.
Yeah.
So I think obviously George Miller is another director that Kojima's a fan of.
Pretty sure, yeah.
And I imagine George Miller is a fan of Kojima's work. I know with the OD project, he has assembled a number of directors. It's not just Jordan Peele. Because at one point he said, I have assembled a magnificent 7 of movie directors or something like that.
Damn.
For that project, right? So there's more involved there. I wonder if George Miller and Del Toro are in there too, and they're collaborating on Death Stranding at the same time, or, you know, that way. Maybe. We'll see.
This is definitely going to be...
Peele is in this game.
Yeah, maybe. This is definitely going to be more action-oriented, which I don't know how I feel about that. It made for a great trailer, because generally the cutscenes in Death Stranding are always dialogue based. There's never any action, so it's actually cool to see some action in the cutscenes here. And Troy's character Higgs makes that reference. He says, "I see you've adopted the stick, or you've given up the rope for the stick," or something like that, which is a direct reference to what Kojima was trying to do with Death Stranding. He was saying that in the games industry, like, all players are just so focused on hitting each other with sticks, and he wanted to bring people together using the rope. That was the quote, or something along those lines.
Right, okay.
Due to the criticism, though, it seems as though he's starting to adopt the stick for this game.
But will he comment on it within game
that in itself was
beyond that quote?
Maybe not. Yeah,
like, you know, the way MGS2, it was very much like, we just want that again. It's like, okay, I'll give you that again, but that's going to be the plot too, though.
Yeah, maybe
you just want that again, and I'm gonna fucking twist it in such a way that at the end you're like, oh fuck.
Yeah,
you know?
maybe.
Like, maybe he'll comment on what gamers want in Death Stranding 2 in some weird way.
Probably, yeah. There's probably going to be some meta,
and that would make the concept work, where it's like,
yeah,
not only so majority of gamers then might prefer the gameplay, but also maybe they'll be called out for it, you know? We'll see. I don't know.
My only worry with that is that actually the combat is my least favorite part of Death Stranding.
Right.
Like, my favorite part of the gameplay side of it was the more Breath of the Wildy moments, where it's I need to get over there. How the fuck do I do that? And then trying to craft something to traverse. Like the environment is the puzzle, and I need to figure out. I've got like my gear is rotting. I need to like really manage my resources and get this cargo over there. How do I do that? That part I actually really fucking enjoyed. I really hated when there was people around because I'm like, I'm here listening to my music, just enjoying the environment. Why the fuck are you here? The combat is not even that great in it. It's like really dumbed down Phantom Pain shooting.
Okay.
So if they are making it more combat heavy, I really hope they improve that.
Yeah, I think the part I got addicted to a lot in the first Death Stranding was building the roads.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
You just get it like you just build the roads because that's what the game is about. I think that was again part of his reasoning for a lot of his choices in the first Death Stranding. So again, I imagine the second one will have a lot of social commentaries because the first one had there's a slight multiplayer aspect to it. You can't play together, but you can use other people's tools. But you can only leave likes because he was talking about how there was just so much negativity on the internet that he then wanted to create a game that was all about positivity, where everyone's working together, how everyone is needed and stuff like that, and everyone rewards you with likes. And I don't know where I'm going with this point. I actually forgot the start of my sentence, but
No, but I like what you're saying. I'm picking up what you're putting down, to be honest with you. You're like Norman Reedus right now. You're delivering.
Yeah, so I say he'll have. I really forgot where I was going with this point, but I'd say he's gone through some social commentaries in part
I'd say
two.
you're right though, because like one of the taglines for all the trailers for Death Stranding 2 so far has been "Should we have connected?" Like, posing that as a question. Or it's like the first game was all about connection. That was the whole point, right? There's even like not just in the gameplay, but it's embedded in the story, isn't it? Like Norman Reedus' character is trying to reconnect the USA.
I remember now. Yeah, the roads, building the roads connects everyone together. That's where I was going.
Yeah,
with that
there
point.
you go.
Yeah,
so,
okay, thank you.
But now posing the question of should we have connected? It's like, what do you mean by that? Like, do you mean it's like, okay, it was great to connect, but now we have inherited other people's problems, or we have created a world that's too interconnected that now we're too reliant on each other, and or like what are the negatives of the should we have connected? But it's an interesting question, and I'd be interested to see where the game goes with that question that he's posed more than once now. So it wasn't just a one-off trailer thing. Like it's I think there's a real I think that's going to be like
it's
the
the
driving
tagline of
force
the game.
game.
It seems to be. Yeah.
Yeah. What the hell does on the beach in this context mean, though? Does it mean a particular? Do you think it means a character, or is that too spoilery, or like, do you know what that means?
I don't really know, actually.
Oh, okay.
I
So
don't
that's
anyway.
not like if you play the first one, you understand that.
Well, maybe. I mean, you could
we-
maybe
we-
come up with a bunch of theories,
I
like,
suppose,
but
yeah.
there's
Okay.
nothing off, straight away that you'd understand.
Yeah,
I
it's
wanna
it's
know.
not like we understand what the beach is, but as I said when we first started talking about it, everyone has their own beach.
Mm-hmm.
And then when the Death Stranding started, everyone ended up on the one beach, I think, before all going off to the afterlife. So the beach is and everyone's beach is different. Mads Mikkelsen's character, his beach is war zones.
Yeah,
So it's
those
a
are
bit
actually the best parts of the game, actually, aren't
they're
they?
they're pretty
really
fucking
good.
cool. But so it's like on the beach is again another reason I don't really like it. I don't think he needs
Fair.
a subtitle to the game.
Do you
But
think
yeah,
just Death Stranding 2 is enough of a title?
yeah, I think that's fine. But yeah, it'd be hard to know what he's referring to because of the ambiguity of a beach in the context of Death Stranding.
If I'm being honest, the title strikes me as something similar to when you had Uncharted 2 Among Thieves, where you're like, obviously after that, then any Uncharted that came was following that naming scheme, but it was like maybe just Uncharted 2 or maybe just Uncharted Among Thieves. Why is it Uncharted 2 Among Thieves? And also it was like that seems like a real generic, loose title. There.
I'd say,
That's, like
yeah.
very vague.
Yeah, no, I'd say
you know that way.
I'd say for most people, like he would probably just want to call it Death Stranding on the beach. And I'd say
Right.
from a marketing perspective, it's like
You got to make out that it's the
we
sequel.
gotta have a 2 here, though, you know, just so that it's not like it's
Yeah.
not an expansion. It's the next
Well,
one,
there is
you know.
that. People could think it was just DLC.
And I feel like that's probably the same reasoning behind like Uncharted 2 and Uncharted 3. You know, it's like
Yeah.
we
No,
need
I
to
think
we need
there's-
to make it
there's a good
very
point
clear
there.
that this is the next one.
Yeah,
Unlike
this is the big-
the
if-
Lost Legacy and
Yeah. Also,
Golden
I'd
Bit,
say
you
if,
know?
if people looked
Fair
up
point.
Death Stranding on the beach, they're probably going to end up getting images of,
actually
whales.
Death Stranding on the beach.
Yeah, actual Death Stranding
But
on
is
the
it
beaches.
2
Well,
is in
that's
as
fair
well, you know? Death Stranding 2
Death Stranding
on the
as
beach.
well on the beach. Let us know what you think, everybody. That's an interesting theory. I also want to know. So Troy Baker's character, because it was the same voice, right? It's not like putting on another voice. Is that the same character though? Because he looks
Seems-
very different here, right? Like I remember seeing Troy Baker in Death Stranding 1, and now he's like a cyber version of the Crow. Like it's a very different look. But from what he's saying, is it clear to you guys that it's the same guy?
It seems to be suggesting that it's the same person.
He's definitely a little
Okay.
bit more flamboyant.
Oh, wait, they call him Higgs. So yeah,
Yeah,
it's the same guy.
It's-
Oh, they do. Okay,
yeah, it
okay.
is-
I
it
missed
is
that.
Higgs,
I missed
but-
that.
I think he does act a little bit different.
Yeah, he's changed, has he? Maybe he's a.
He is theatrical in the first game.
I would
He's
have
the
called
villain,
I would
right?
have called him more poetic than theatrical.
Right. Is he the villain of the first game?
Hmm.
Yeah.
Straight up.
Yeah.
So
Oh yeah.
okay, so he's back to wreak havoc again. I have to say I loved the way. So when he was fighting the ninja thing, and it was like, okay, so this is like a throwback to Ocelot and Cyborg Ninja,
Mhm.
but the actual way that it was his attacks, the way they were animated, were fantastic. I
Yeah.
thought that was a amazing scene from a choreography point of view, animation point of view, everything. I was like, I just watch a movie of that shit, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
I was
actually,
like,
part of me is
Kojima,
like,
make a movie,
yeah,
please.
I think Death Stranding could make for a great series, actually.
Right, but they're making a movie of it, aren't they?
Are they?
A24 are making a Death Stranding
yeah.
movie. Right, that's been announced.
See, there's
I-
just
It
too
is
much.
that's right up their alley.
I do think there's like too much in Death Stranding to grasp in a
Intensive.
film.
But I
Unless you went
wonder-
the Watchmen route, like, you know,
I wonder as
3.5
well, though,
hour
is
experience.
it just going to be set in the Death Stranding universe? Where it's
Maybe.
someone else's story, someone else's beach, you know what I mean? Like using the concepts of Death Stranding, but it's an original film? Maybe, because if Kojima is involved in any way. Otherwise, they might just go for the, like, what are they...
Could you imagine
You
if
have
they
to,
actually...
if you have to whittle it down, what are the bare strokes of what you have to include? You know what I mean?
Oh,
Ooh.
Because you can montage delivery scenes.
oh yeah. The
Over
the
time, you
walk,
know what I mean?
the game,
That kind
the
of stuff.
gameplay you can cut out, and you still have an issue.
I know the story. Yeah, I know. His stories are always like massive.
It'd be
So-
like
Yeah, I
trying
know
to whittle down. Well, Metal Gear Solid 1 is the only one really that's, and 3. I think Metal Gear Solid 1 and 3 are the only ones that you could go, all right, we can have a
This
very...
is the story.
This is the story.
Yeah.
I think 2 and 4 would be quite challenging.
They would. But
I think I
could
said
find
that
a way.
about the first game where I forgot what Hideo Kojima games are like. So I was like, right, I'm at the end of the game. We gotta
Oh,
do
yeah,
this
yeah, yeah.
thingy. And then I was like, I did it. And I was like, oh, there's another chapter. And I did that. And I was like, oh, there's another and it was like 6 hours. It was like fucking 6 hours before I cleared the game. I was like, fucking hell. Yeah. That was fun.
Well, super impressive trailer. I thought
Mhm.
Death Stranding 2 looks great. It's coming out next year. So far we know that and GTA 6 are 2025 games, which is kind of cool. And that's already a good lineup of games, but obviously there will be much more. Maybe Wolverine will come out next year. I think it will. But then, for me, the biggest shock, right, of the whole state of play, personally, well, bar that we weren't getting Rebirth. I was like, what? Come on, it's the 27th anniversary. The biggest shock for me was at the end. Not necessarily what they announced, right? That's not surprising or shocking. That Kojima is also working on a new espionage action game, right? What he's doing, that's not surprising. I mean, it'll depend on how it turns out, what it looks like. just that he is doing another game. I was like, what? Like, how is he doing Death Stranding 2, OD, this, a documentary for Disney Plus, a weekly podcast or something, and he's involved with the Death Stranding movie? Like, literally, where does this man get hours of the day? Like, I was just shocked that they announced, here's a third game. Like, that none of them are out yet. You know what I mean? Like, here's another game Kojima's working on. I was like, fucking hell, this man.
Well,
doing so much.
he's not working on it though, is he?
No, it's a concept. He's finishing Death Stranding 2, and then he'll start working.
Like I
I get that.
Put bets
It's
down
just
to
that-
see which will come out first, this or Elder Scrolls. You know,
Right, maybe this is a PS6 game. But then
maybe.
it was interesting that they zoomed out of the studio. They showed the working title, which is Physint, but obviously that won't be the name. That's just like a code name, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
And it said Columbia Pictures above that. What the hell does that mean?
Yeah, well, maybe they're going to try that whole. Remember
Well,
the way?
they're trying that interactive movie thing, isn't it? Is that what he was saying?
Yeah, well, I wondered if it's going to be like an interconnected thing, a bit like the way the Quantum Break was trying to do.
Oh, right, okay.
I wonder if it's going to be something like that. Only I believe he could actually pull it off. This kind of multi-layered interactive thing that all connects. Like you can imagine that. I don't know whether how would you actually. Will it be a film in cinemas, or will it be something that's viewable through one of Sony's services or something like that? But if you watch something, it like connects with your game at the same time, or some shit. I think he could make that work and make it happen. But yeah, I think it definitely years away. Years and years away.
But were you guys at least surprised at the announcement?
I was
I know it's
surprised
the
by
only
the
announcement, but-
return of the espionage action adventure thing. That bit surprised me, just because I thought maybe he was done with it.
What'd you think,
I
Eric?
was a little bit like, I don't know. I was just looking at it, and the amount of times Herman kept looking at Kojima, and because it's a tactical espionage thing, I was a little bit like, is Herman holding like a metaphorical handgun to Kojima's head to be like, you better make this?
There
I
was,
don't know, I just got that vibe.
There
I
is a
will
little bit
say-
of that to it.
I
Yeah.
will say, of all the projects that's been announced from Kojima so far, as Kojima Productions, this one feels the most paid for, if you know what I mean. Like this
Yes.
one, OD seems like something he wanted to do.
Hmm.
Death Stranding was clearly something he decided to do of his own accord. Nobody asked for Death Stranding.
No.
This one feels a little bit more like, how much would we
Yeah,
have to
I
pay
imagine the moment
to
he
make
left.
a
Yeah, I'd say
espionage
the
action
moment
game?
he left Konami, I'd say it was very much like everyone ringing him up, going, "Hey, so like we would love a spy adventure game. Would you like to come work with us?" I'd say everyone rang him up asking for that.
Probably, yeah.
And then I'd say Sony was the only one that said, "Here, look, actually, you know what? You can do whatever you want." And that's probably where he's like, "Cool, we'll do Death Stranding then." And I'd say even Xbox then afterwards was like, "Oh, look, he's just never. You can do whatever you want." And then he's like, "Cool, I'll do OD." And Sony's probably like, "Now about that spy game though. Now that we gave you like our engine and all that,
And whatever you wanted.
yo, any chance of that spy game?"
No, look it could be a fucking incredible game. We'll
No
have to
doubt.
wait and
I think-
see,
I think
you know what I
it'll be-
mean? Like
I think
he's
it'll be a
he's
pretty
great
good
at that genre, so it is exciting. But it's just I was just like, wow, like literally, how will we ever have in the gaming industry, or is there anyone in the gaming industry who could one day be another Kojima? Do you think? Like, will anyone else ever be on Kojima's level where they only have to pull him out on screen and everyone goes, "Wow, fuck, it's Kojima"? You know what I mean? Could anyone else get to that level? Who has the potential?
Neil.
You think Neil Druckmann has the potential
Not to his level, but I think Neil could maybe
to
have.
get to a similar?
He'll have enough. He could probably get enough pull. To do what he
okay.
wants, and I think he's a name now that people recognize, and I think that's the thing is like actually see, Kojima always put his name on the artwork. Like
He did, yeah.
it's
He's
a
an auteur,
Hideo
and he made sure
Kojima
people knew that.
game. He did see himself as a director, and he wanted to be treated as a Hollywood style director, and
And he has gained that respect as a result, right?
Yeah, and I think he's the only, at least he's the only game director, whatever, that I would give any of his work a chance.
because he's so good.
Yeah, because even like with Death Stranding and that, like, I mean, I don't think it's an amazing game. I really did connect with it, and I enjoyed it. But I wouldn't be like, you have to go out and do this. But
Yeah,
he's just one of those directors that it's like, there's something interesting in there, and it's really worth. It's not just a throw it on and shoot shit experience. It's a you're in for something different when you go with Kojima. I don't know if there's any other game director or developer like that.
something
Maybe in
dawned
the
on me when
space.
something dawned on me when watching the new trailer. He's a bit like Linkin Park, where
You say that about everything you like.
yes, I love Linkin Park, but he is able to blend artistic creativity with, because if like all of his games exist hugely in the pop culture sphere,
Oh yeah.
he is able to mainstream artistic vision.
Mhm.
And that's something that they were always good at, where it's like, yeah, we are like, there's an artistic concept behind like the songs and stuff, but also you're going to get a catchy ass chorus. You know what I mean? We know how to like sell this to the masses as well. We're not going to totally just make the weirdest fucking kind of thing where it's like, you got to be on something to enjoy this. You know what I mean? I think Kojima is very good at, this will be mainstream, it will be popular, but I'm going to throw in some crazy shit. And I think he's very good at that. Eric, is there anyone else in the game sphere that you think could get to somewhere like a Kojima level in the future, where their name is enough to get people like, oh shit, look who it is?
Well, the first one that popped in the head was Neil Druckmann for the exact reason Adam said that he's a name.
Yeah.
Um, Corey Barlog could
Oh, that's a good shout.
with
Yeah.
God of War 2018. Now it all depends on how, because he's working on a new game. It all
Yes.
depends on how that goes. If
Yeah.
that also hits as hard as the 2018 God of War, that guy will rise up to the ranks as well. I'm really surprised that like the directors at Rockstar are just not bigger.
It's interesting that, yeah, everyone knows Rockstar as a developer, and I'm sure people who are hardcore into Rockstar can name the people. I can't name someone from Rockstar, if
Right.
being honest.
Because
Yeah.
like even if you're not really big into their games,
Yeah.
you can't really deny that they are incredibly well made. It's like me with
They're
Quint
one of the most talented studios in the
yeah.
world.
It's like me with Quentin Tarantino. I don't really like his movies, but his movies are really damn well made. And if people love him, it's like I absolutely understand why.
Yeah.
Rockstar is yeah, so it's just weird that like I don't really know that I can't be like this is the director of Red Dead 2 or the
Mhm.
first Red Dead or any of the GTAs. I just don't know them.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, I do think it's probably that aspect of like, yeah, maybe they're more team oriented and they're more proud of
The team as a whole.
the team. Yeah, because it's like, it's the next Rockstar game you're excited about. It's the next Bethesda game. Like, it's not the next Todd Howard game you're excited about. It's the next Bethesda. Now, Todd Howard is
But yet we all know Todd Howard though.
we do.
Hmm.
And I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
with Todd, I would liken him more, and I think that's probably the way the games industry actually works. So Kojima works.
He's an outlier.
Is like, it deals in it like as if it's a Hollywood movie, right? I'd put him up there with Ridley Scott as a director. Whereas the rest of them, like Todd Howard to me is like Steve Jobs. Whether the product is good or not, he will fucking sell it to you.
Yeah.
And you're buying it for the Bethesda logo.
Yes, yeah.
Like,
That's a good way of putting it.
and I think the rest of the games industry probably works like a tech company, whereas Kojima works like a film company. That's probably
I think-
the difference.
In terms of longevity, I think you guys have made some good points in terms of, I think Neil Druckmann is a name and could be a name further down the line as well. I think Cory Barlog, Eric, I think you're bang on with, if his next game, whatever that original IP is, if it hits and it hits hard, I think he could be a name in and of himself. I also think Sam Lake
True.
could become, and I'm talking like maybe like he's already, I think there's he has a big fan base and a big following, but I think a couple more games, couple more crazy ideas, I think, and him continuing to be the face of Remedy. I think at some point Sam Lake could be someone that it's the second he walks on screen, people go, "Oh shit, Sam Lake! What are they doing next?" You know what I mean? I think he's got a little bit of Kojima energy going on
Right,
there. You know what I mean?
he's
Especially
got
in
that
Alan Wake 2.
Riz. He's got that Riz. He
Got a bit of
walks on.
Riz. You know, he's
Yeah,
got a bit of
yeah,
Riz. But guys, we want to hear from you. Who do you think in the gaming space could rise up to be on a Kojima level? How crazy is Kojima? What was your favorite reveal from the PlayStation State of Play? First one of 2024. So we've had an Xbox showcase, a PlayStation showcase. Nintendo, you're up. It's your turn. I'm sure you'll be out in February. I'm sure you'll be revealing the Switch too. We can't wait to hear about it. Let's fucking go. But yeah, obviously we didn't talk about all the games. We talked about ones that stood out to us, either for negative or positive reasons, but ones that we had thoughts on. But there's plenty more that maybe we just had nothing to say about, but you guys might. So if you're on YouTube, jump down in the comments, share your thoughts. If you enjoyed this, give us a thumbs up, hit subscribe, ring the notification bell. And to those this was on audio platforms, you can touch base on social media, Facebook, Instagram, and X at The Brothers Take again to give your take on the PlayStation State of Play. Just before we finish, and I don't want to spend too long on this, right? Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League.
Yes.
It's out, right? What happened? What happened? I would say we were just talking a moment ago about these teams where you are excited for the next team game, the next Rockstar game, the next Bethesda game. And there was a point where I would say people would feel the same way about Rocksteady. You might not have had a particular name in Rocksteady, but Rocksteady as a name alone, because of the amazing Arkham trilogy and how they've revolutionized superhero games. And I am just shocked at every turn at the direction that they took with this. I don't believe... First of all, I still think Rocksteady are a talented team. I don't think this means they've totally lost their talent. I don't think that at all. I think it's so clear that they were meddled with on a huge, on massive levels. I'm just wondering, why would you meddle with Rocksteady? Why would you not let them do whatever the fuck they want? Because I do not believe this is a game they wanted to make.
Mm-hmm. No,
It seems weird because the end of, like, during the Arkham game, you could overhear criminals talking about the man from Metropolis. It just kind of seemed like they were hinting at a Superman game, and then to get this was weird. It's weird. It's a weird game. It doesn't look like it's supposed to be in the Arkham universe. It just, none of it looks like it is.
Yeah, be careful though. People will get mad at you for that.
I don't mean that it's dark and gritty and grimy. Metropolis is supposed to be bright and future. It looks cartoony. It looks like Fortnite or something. Yeah. You know, in its sort of aesthetic.
It just doesn't look like the Arkhamverse at all.
Diarrhea color lights and stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, you should never really judge, I guess, a game by just a cinematic trailer, but like that first one, I think we all felt there's something not right here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they showed gameplay trailer, and I think more people then went, something's really not right here. And then the game got released, and people were like, the fuck's going on here? So.
Yeah, well, there's also just like the dodginess around the release of, like, you know, they didn't give anyone a review copy.
Mm-hmm.
So there was no reviews of the game before it came out.
No.
Absolutely not. And then people paid extra for the early launch, and then the game broke down. They had to take it down. So people had paid extra and then weren't able to play it. And then there's questions of, like, are people entitled to a refund for the time that they missed out on? Because that's the reason they paid extra. Like, the deluxe edition was supposed to give like 72 hours early access. And for the first day, it was like pretty much taken down. That's disastrous. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's just, it's a shame. But I look at when Cyberpunk 2077 first came out, right? It has shook a lot of people's faith in CD Projekt Red, and they've already turned that around. People now love that game, but also are excited for the next thing CD Projekt Red do. So I don't think this is a doom to Rocksteady. That's not me saying that they can fix this game. I'm sure they will add more to it. I think it'll have an audience. I think there's 12 and 13-year-olds who will fucking love this game and who'll be like, this is dark and edgy and
yeah, but it won't
crazy.
survive then.
No, I know. So it'll have a bit of a life. it'll be forgotten
I
about,
think that's what's really
and
unfortunate.
they'll move on to something else.
Because
You know
much
what I mean?
like Marvel's Avengers, like I think that's gone now, right? I don't think that's been supported anymore.
No, that's gone.
Because if you have a game that's purely about trying to survive on like loot boxes and constant income coming in, if no one's spending the money on it, if it's kids only playing it, then I mean they can't fund the game. And then when you drop support for it, those are a bunch of young fans who hopefully you were hoping that they would grow up someday to play your next title or even join you in your studio, and you've just completely robbed them of the game that they could enjoy. So you're better off just doing these single experiences that are not so reliant on this constant feed of gambling, basically.
Yes.
The problem with Rocksteady, I think, is that this whole thing is that they just came in on this too late. It's way too late. The whole loot box thing is kind of, it's around still, but Marvel's Avengers was too late for it even.
Yeah.
And that's why that failed.
But I think as well, because I don't think it's that there's no audience for this type of game, right? I just think the blend doesn't work. So I think people who like their story-driven narrative games like it to focus on that experience.
Yeah.
And then people who like their games as a service, like Fortnite is still one of the most popular games played all the time. You know what I mean? But they're not playing that for some story or anything like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's just, yeah.
So what I would say is one or the other. You can't mash both. It doesn't seem to work. It didn't work for Avengers. It didn't work for Gotham Knights. It is not working for Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
So it's a weird genre to try and mix. Don't go all in on one or the other. But guys, if you're enjoying Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, and maybe you are, let us know what you're enjoying about it. I might, for shits and giggles, watch the cutscenes cut together, because I want to hear Kevin Conroy's final performance as Batman. I'm sad that this is his final performance as Batman, but I'm sure he's giving it fucking everything. I have no doubt about that. It's just a shame that this is the project. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like watching Carrie Fisher in The Last Jedi, you know? And you're going, oh, what a shame. You know, it's like, you had, like, in retrospect, if you could go back, would you maybe have done something else with her? Because this, you know, if you had known, because she was amazing. But anyway. Guys, let us know your own thoughts of Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. Let us know what you thought of the PlayStation State of Play. And we will be back next week to talk about Rebirth, which I'm sure you guys have all already seen this week. So if you want as well, jump down in the comments, let us know your thoughts on that. Hopefully there's a demo. But we'll be back to talk about that next week. So that's it for this week. We'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.